Welcome back. You're watching All About Ads on NDTV Profit. We're talking about scam ads. Now, scam ads are a reality, not just in the Indian advertising industry, but worldwide. But are the increasing number of advertising awards leading to more and more scam ads? And joining us today to discuss this, Amitesh Rao, Director, Brand and Media from MTS. Thank you very much for joining us. Swapan Seth, CEO of ad agency Equus, who's been very outspoken about his views. Nirmal Pulikal, Executive Creative Director at DDB Mudra, Delhi, and who has just put in his papers at the agency but is strongly against taking part in awards. And Virat Sarkar from Wonderman. Thank you all very much for joining us. Swapan, let's begin with you. Since you've been extremely articulate about it, vocal in fact, and you've been on the show talking about scam ads where you've said that the bonus of the National Creative Director is actually tied to the number of medals that he brings in for the agency.
I think it started off with the bonuses and the NCDs and the global creative directors getting their bonuses pegged down to the number of awards, but now it's kind of seeped through. But I'm getting older, so I've come to terms with it. I mean, live and let live. Let them have their scam ads and let them have their moments of glory and go off fest.
Let's take a quick look at what really comprises of a scam ad.
This ad created by a Delhi-based agency for one of its clients, Shriram Cement, some months ago was uploaded on advertising sites. Shriram Cement, in an email to All About Ads, said the ads had not been approved by them. This ad created by DDB Brazil won a merit award in 2009 at the One Club Awards. WWF had not even approved the ad. The One Club withdrew the award and slapped a 5-year ban on all those involved. Sometimes the agency creates and runs an ad with the client's approval. Moreover, a 3-year ban will be imposed if you enter an ad that has run only once or on late night TV, that is when airings are cheap or paid for by the agency instead of a client. Here's another example. This ad for Samsung came under the scanner despite winning gold and several silver medals at the Dubai Links a few years ago. The ad shows Jesus taking a picture of a group of nuns. Incidentally, the agency that had the ad at the awards did not even handle the Samsung account, and the client was unaware of the ad. Ads are made by ad agencies primarily to win awards, sometimes a substantial campaign for a tiny client that cannot spend large sums of money on advertising. So the cost of making the ad is shared by the agency and the client. There are cases when an ad for a genuine client is run, but without the client's approval, but pays for creating and airing the ad. It is a scam ad also when an ad is made and run once at an order or printed in an obscure publication in order to enter an award. Sometimes agencies create ads for an imaginary client. And yes, scam ads are also those that are altered for award shows.
There are mandates of winning awards. There are mandates of how many, depending on the medals you win at Goa Fest, easier incentive and so on and so forth. I guess those agencies have their reasons for being in that space, and at SALT at least we don't have any such ambition.
Awards is a good thing. I mean, they are there in agency credentials, that their recognition, the peer recognition of great work done, and finally I do believe that creative is the backbone of the agency. So yes, but finally one would look at the people, the resources, and how would they address, or what would be the game plan to address our specific need.
I have only 2 conditions. Please do proactive work on your clients, not on some fictitious entity. Second, it must be right for the brand.
No.
We don't use the word scam ad anymore. There are nicer words.
Yeah. Like proactive.
Yeah. Well, I can't be a hypocrite. I've done my share of ads for Japanese restaurants and obscure services, burglar-proof glass, things like that. But, I think when you're a young person struggling to get ahead, you have to do anything that's in your power for people to see your work. And initiative ads, pro bono ads was one of the tricks that you had, and if you were clever, you could do it.
Right. Not at any point do we say it's wrong. As long as the client is in the know. We've come across advertising where the client himself does not know, is unaware that these ads have actually been published.
To me, it's a matter of detail, because it's the difference between half cheating and fully cheating. Anyway, you are going a bit ass backwards on it, like you're thinking of a cool idea, and you find a client for it. That's how I used to do it. I'm sure that's how a lot of people do it. Maybe there are others. So if you're going that route, then the permission is just a letter.
Correct me if I'm wrong. But when you talk about this young kid who wants to, get on with life and therefore wants to do a scam ad, I get the feeling that very often you don't even know about the young guy who's done the scam ad. It's the agency, it's the glory with the NCD. And therefore, defeats the entire purpose. I mean, have you heard of a young hack who's done some great award-winning scam ads? You haven't. Sometimes we rob them of their glory, the essential reasons why they do it.
I agree with you. I think if you get a macro view of the whole thing, it starts at the gun report. It's not so much. See, all the people who are really successful at the award shows. You look at intelligent, insightful bosses. They're all smart people, and it's not like they've based their entire careers on this. It's a game. It's a racket and it's a game which they choose to play, because at the end of the day, if you're going to Cannes, you don't want to be going all the way there to clap for somebody else.
Let's get a view from Viraj. Okay, he's been listening to you guys, and
the young person
you probably see yourself in that position in a few years.
The individual who's probably created that and where the seed of the idea came from probably does get shrouded in that whole big system. But I think for him, it's a damn important thing. Like, it's always in his portfolio, and when he's looking out for his next job, it's always like the first thing that he talks about. And so it does help him. I mean, I don't think it doesn't help him. So it's definitely a great motivator. So that's great. But I think that my personal view is that I work in a digital sort of environment. So I think that one of the things about scam ads is that I think they will go away slowly but surely, almost in an evolutionary kind of manner, because it's getting that much more difficult to do an ad, because there's so many more people involved now. There's technologists, there's social media people. It's not just that old nexus of an art director and a copywriter. There's many more people.
International festivals and even Goa Fest would be important for somebody like you.
Well, certainly, it's important from a personal, professional sort of point of view. Though I think that me and a lot of other people and most good creative people won't use that as a yardstick of their own creativity. So for instance, it doesn't mean for me that if I win this award, I have sort of achieved some level of really great, creative accomplishment. But yes, it's important from a professional point of view. I mean, that's an industry sort of standard.
Let's get a client perspective on this. Amitesh, tell us, when you listen to all this going on within the agency, scam ads, perhaps people experimenting with your brand name, do you look at it as proactive work, or do you look at it as scam?
Frankly, neither. I mean, to me it looks like it's much ado about nothing, right? Because this kind of work has a lot of importance in many industries. You take automobiles. The really cutting edge work is on concept cars. They're never on the road, right? You don't see them, but they push the envelope, and that helps the technology come onto the road in subsequent cars. Now, why it has value is because by pushing yourself to the limit, you're improving your art, your skill. Scam in advertising doesn't do that. It doesn't in any way help you add to your skill set to produce better work for a brand. And therefore, there's a lot of inward looking celebration, right? And people are really happy, and and rightly so. It's within the industry. But outside the industry, you don't, and I've been in and I've been out, so I have both perspectives.
So it's more self-congratulatory.
Completely, nobody even knows whether, nobody's seen the ad, right?
Do you feel that agencies are focusing more on awards and concentrating less on perhaps the brief and what is right for brands?
That might vary agency to agency.
What's been your personal experience?
Sort of, generalize.
No,
I don't see that. But what I do see is that at a certain time of the year, there's a lot of energy that starts going into what is not being hidden but openly talked about as, look, these are award ads, can we release this? Yeah, okay, fine, go ahead, man. Experimenting on my brand is great for me, as long as it is showing me what one can do with the brand, and I can take that call before I put it out into the world. So I don't have a problem with it, but it makes very little difference.
Experimenting with his brand is good, right? You also encourage this kind of experimentation. You encourage youngsters to try it as long as you can sell it to the client, right?
Look, I have a very simple principle. I always feel that, let's take an example of Ogilvy. Ogilvy does such fantastic work largely. Okay, why would Ogilvy want to indulge in a scam ad? Why would they want to dance at that party to quote Nirmal? I mean, they dance throughout the year. They don't need to dance at that party. They build the discotheque here. Okay. So so that completely defeats me. But my rule is very, very simple. I invariably will find 2 clients every year who will buy the kind of advertising that I wish to create for them, and by the grace of God I manage to find them, and therefore I don't participate in scam ads, and I don't even enter the ads that I've done for these clients, because I have my own perspective as far as juries etc. are concerned. I've sat through some. I've had some terrible experiences in some jury sessions where someone has told me, yaar isko is pe wo thappa laga de yaar, and I'm saying, like, what are you saying? Okay, so my perspective is that at the end of the day, you are the best judge. Your conscience is the best judge of what you can do, and your agency at the end of the day must be known by work that's actually out in the market, good, bad, or ugly. I mean, have the courage to stick in your key number on a crappy ad, and have pride in putting your key number out on a great ad as well. I mean, where is this scam ad going to take you? Like,
if I was a client, I would think it was a little dishonest to what I'm engaging or partnering with you on, because at some level I think I would expect your best minds, your best thoughts, your computer time and your 3 a.m. thoughts to be about my brand, and not about some erasers or a dog hair grooming clinic down the road. The other thing is, can you really rank art in that sense? Like, you look at any other creative industry, that's a bigger question. It's like, do you think the fashion industry says, okay, Gucci is number 1 and Louis Vuitton is number 2, but next year we have to become number 1?
We'll continue this conversation about scam ads and how much is this associated or related to the client-agency relationship. That's coming up. Welcome back. You're watching All About Ads on NDTV Profit. We are talking about scam ads. Can they be removed from agencies, or can they be used as stepping stones to creativity? And here we're going to talk about the client-agency relationship. Is that lacking somewhat here in India?
no, in fact, a couple of years ago I used to hear these fantastic stories about Piyush and his clients. I mean, how he would just call up the client in the middle of the night and say that, India's won a game, so I'm going to do Mera Wala Blue. Okay, or he had some fabulous partnerships with Cadbury's, for instance, and I'm sure he continues to have them with clients, and so must Prasun and Balke and all these people. So the point really is that if the fertility of your relationship is fantastic, then you don't need to resort to this kind of stuff.
This client-agency relationship, since you've been on both sides?
I certainly think it's, these are the exceptions, what you spoke about, and I don't really see them as a rule, and I know for a fact a lot of clients genuinely desire it and they don't find it, and equally on the agency end there are a lot of people who really want that kind of a rapport, but it doesn't exist. So as a rule, if I have to generalize, then I would say that there is not enough in the relationship, enough trust in the relationship, and that just comes from a simple thing. Are you both doing something with the same objective or not? And the moment the objective becomes, I want to address the target audience of 4 people on a jury, whereas I want to address the target audience of 4 million people on the street, you're never going to have that trust.
See, I think he's made a very, very valid point there. Let's talk about this whole trust, between agencies and clients. Why do you think that is fallen?
Actually, I'd like to add something to what he said. I think the word partnership, as even Swapan pointed out, I find that a bit utopian. If you get it, that's great, and we've all experienced it once in a while. But like how you look at relationships in daily life, right? A lot of them are based on certain hierarchies. In the promotional material or our websites, agencies like to call our clients as partners. It rarely is like that.
So clients are not partners.
Into the service industry bit, as in the sense that we become servants at some level. With certain kind of clients, they expect it.
I agree with Amitesh when he says, and I agree with Nirmal when he's saying that partnerships are quite utopian. Another thing that I think is sort of endemic to India right now is that there's a lot of the clients out here are clients who have are the India departments of big, huge companies. So I don't know how comfortable they are with taking risks with their advertising in many ways. So oftentimes it becomes, you go out there with great ideas and then they, come back to you with, they're just a little scared of their regional heads, and so a lot of the great work tends to happen out there, abroad in the West and all that. And then, that's just been my experience. So I'm sure, Nirmal Lal might have had different experiences. But
one last word before we wind up. Where do you think this scam is headed, and can we look at it positively in the future? Viraj?
I think the days of just one clever, snappy idea are limited. So I think that's way. I think scam ads are going to go out of the window for a while.
It's going to go out of the window, Nirmal?
There is a certain caste system within the awards as well. Like there's the guy who wins with the business card every year, right? That's like the lowest level. And then there's the guy who wins the titanium for the integrated campaign, which is the most desirable one. So those are the ones where those can't be scams. You have to really, because you engineer there's a lot of money involved, there's a lot of approvals and people involved. Those can't be scams.
Super.
No, I think it's like the common cold. They'll never find a cure for it.
One last word.
I mean, frankly, I don't want to predict, but I would hope that it reaches a point where you don't have to use the word scam. But I suppose you need a really big internal adjustment for that, not at the individual level, but at the jury and the organizational and the industry level.
So as long as the gun report remains, scam ads are most likely to continue. And on that note, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me on All About Ads. And you tell us,